Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to round one of the Raceface GT3 series. Welcome back. It is season 16. Can you believe it? 16 seasons in, and we are going racing round one at Valencia. Now, we did see last night a 55-minute race for our GT3 Sprint series being absolutely incredible with some very, very close racing, and it came down to who was able to get their way to the top. What strategy worked out right at the end, and Barkhazen managed to leapfrog his way past the likes of Christopher Radloff and Ryan Ottens, and Jamie Rees was out of nowhere out the box, finishing up in 4th place in the whole run, which is just absolutely incredible. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you so much for coming. Big thank you to Tim the cameraman. Actually taught me how to count down, which you would see the counter. Gotta say, love him. Took a lot of work for that one. Let's head down to the track while qualifying is running. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification icon, and if you're enjoying all the action, leave us a like. And also, we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. That's my Christmas wish, and I have written notes to Santa to try and get it, and it's up to you guys to also try and help out with that one. Christmas wish, please. Well, that being said, let's get ready to rock, roll, and rumble this evening as the drivers make their way through, putting in some lap times. Unrik Sikkers was first to put in his lap time. Keep an eye on Sikkers. He's been doing really well, and also got your livery up and sorted. Was driving a pure black car last night, and Sikkers actually had a bit of a question, said, listen, livery's up, can you please make sure it works? So got it up and working, which is great. Bernard Barkhazen, keep an eye on him. Won last night and did really well. Q and Duplessis also on a tremendous pace from last season, looking to improve and claw his way up through the ranks. So we've got a couple of drivers that are launching their way through. So Unrik Sikkers out in front, the Kubason in 2nd place, AJ de Kock in 3rd, Kerry Duplessis, keep an eye on Kerry. Had a little bit of a tough time out last night, getting a drive-through penalty and had to work his way through, but still kept it on for the GSR Racing team. Jean Fafirs also having a great time out there. Sanjin Pillay with the tribute livery to the Springboks playing this weekend. So Sanjin Pillay going and saying a big support, and is not a fan of the All Blacks. So he's voting for South Africa to take the win. I have to agree on that one, but let's try to get a little bit more than 1 point, which I think everyone at the moment can agree. Anxiety simulator, definitely not fun. Fleming Bauer going and having a bit of fun out on the circuit, and well done to the Logistical Nightmare team. They actually did well in an iRacing endurance race. I think it was a 6-hour that they did around Le Mans, and they positioned themselves rather well. So congratulations to the Logistical Nightmare team. Fleming Bauer going and representing on the circuit. Christopher Adloff in the big Bentley going to be launching his way through. Keep an eye on him. 2nd place last night, putting himself into 1st place. He's hoping to get a little bit more of a run. Ryan Ottens, he's also trying to defend the crown for the Raceface GT3 Season 16. So he's going to be looking to claw his way through, still in that Ferrari. Then we've got Johan van der Merwe from ZRC. Actually had a chat to van der Merwe. They were doing lots of practice during the off-season, eventually deciding on 992 Porsche, going and saying the rotation is what leans on for the car being picked by a lot of the ZRC drivers. Others, like Conrad Matchstick Martin, deciding, nah, the Porsche is a little bit too much for him at the moment. He's going to stick to what he knows in terms of the Ferrari. Mahath Musa also coming across the line. Keep an eye out on Mahath Musa. He's hoping to push his way through. He's going to be clawing his way up through the order. And from the Project Vapor team, going and saying they had a huge amount of fun. They've also worked on a bit of training regimens. Paul Fenter was busy telling them that, listen, you're not sending it right. You need to send it just right, a little bit harder. So Mahath Musa actually piped up with a comment of, don't worry, watch this season. We're going to get nice and close. And we're also going to get a little bit more personal. Go and talk about the sweet sensations through the ears. So keep an eye on it. Mahath Musa, an incredibly quick driver, very competent, especially when it gets into battles. But that BMW knows how to defend a position. Tienes Buerta looking to get out and have a bit of fun. Jean-Ray Buerta moving up from Pro-Am into Pro. The Team Kerygma Racing won last season, and now back out on the circuit having a bit of fun, looking to close down the distance. Then you have got Andre Serradio from the Project Vapor jumping into the Lamborghini, a little bit different to what he's usually been driving. He's been in Mercedes, he's been in the Aston Martin, but finally deciding on the new Lamborghini Evo 2 as the charge. Gotta say, really beautiful car, got an amazing sound with that V10 screaming its way through, so keep an eye on him. Domingo out in the field. Daniel Rowe jumping into the Porsche, a little bit different to what he was racing in the Ferrari last season, and also sporting a new color scheme onto the Porsche. And then we've got mighty Morgan McCall, who returns. Morgan McCall actually going and saying, unfortunately, not able to race in the iRacing because this season he wants it to be his season. He puts it into 5th place at the moment. Robert McCall also going and cheering him on with this, and Junior, his brother, going and putting a bit of support in as well for the McCalls. But out in front, Ryan Ottens with a 130.6 as it stands. Inque and Duplessis out in 2nd place. Bernard Barkhuizen in 3rd place, going and putting a wheel over the curb a little bit. That is going to cost him a fair amount of time, and he will have to just try and figure it out. With 8 minutes to go in this race, we got 3 servers. We got our Pro-Am, and our Am all going and racing. They will be having a lot of fun. Aiden Russell in the sun-bleached Ferrari. And yes, that Ferrari does look a little bit sun-bleached, a little bit more tame colors to what we usually see in the Project Vapor team. But the reasoning for it is to give it a unique look, especially when things start getting a little bit darker. He goes and tries to have a little bit more of a stealth look. That sun-bleached Ferrari with the little turquoise on the side does stand out, and you can really notice when the car's lurking around. As you can see, also trying to power his way through. So, drivers putting in some fast lap times. Jamie Reese actually going and moving himself up the order into 4th place. Remember, I said keep an eye on him. He's one to go and see the battle. Christopher Radloff putting in a monstrous time as well. Radloff hoping to improve after last night. Came in 2nd place, missing 1st place. Just so close towards the end. Now will be sitting with a bit between his teeth. So, 1 hour, 20 minutes of racing, ladies and gentlemen. 2 mandatory pit stops for the drivers needing to do. For a pit stop to count, they need to put 1 liter of fuel in the cars. They can change tires. They have the option of doing so, but at the cost, it goes and takes up a fair amount of time in the pits. And the fastest pit stop from entry to exit and was a splash and dash was 33 seconds, as we saw last night around the circuit. So all the drivers will be taking note of that. We do have a couple of things for you guys at home to take a look. We do have Pitwall up and showing, so you guys can follow all the live timing as it stands, and also start calculating who do you think is going to be able to claw your way to the top. Actually had a chat with Van der Merwe. He keeps the stream off to one side and Pitwall off to one side during the courses on the straight, taking a quick glance over just to see where everyone is and understand where his strategy comes into play. So a couple of drivers utilizing everything at this point. Pitwall, stream, their own relatives, just to ensure they can go for the number 1 and be able to take the crown for season 16 starting tonight at Valencia. And ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a heated run. I can tell you lots of passion and enthusiasm was happening out in the Discord for the guys going and chatting. Lots of people really excited with how the racing is going to be. The new BOP coming into play. For anyone that doesn't know what a BOP is, well, that is our balance of performance, and they're looking to go and move forward in taking the cars a little bit closer to one another. That's why we get to see the Cadillac coming back. Rian van der Rust, enjoy guys. I'm still in the tractor, a real one, back in the next track next week, going and sporting a GSR. So, Rian van der Rust going and enjoying himself in an actual tractor. Gotta say, that is one of the scariest ones in the world because it always feels like you are floating. So I take my hat off to you, but why are you driving and watching a stream? You know you're not meant to be on your phone while driving. You're meant to either be on your phone or on the tractor. I know the tractor is a little bit slow, but you don't have to go in that far forward. But thank you very much for joining. And also to you guys out on the spectators going and watching the show, can see quite a viewership is actually lurking around. Great to have you guys, and great to see everyone. Looking forward to having a bit of fun. But I want to know, who are you guys supporting for this evening? Who do you think is going to be able to claw their way to the top? Who do you think will be able to take the championship come the end? Jude Neville going and saying, how's it? He's going and supporting the Logistical Nightmare team. Well, welcome, Jude. Good to see you guys here. And congratulations to the Logistical Nightmare team on the iRacing result. I got to see that from Paul Fenter going and putting in a bit of support, and also with everyone going on. But you're going to be supporting this car over here, Fleming Bauer, looking to move forward. But Jude Neville, while you're supporting the others, you're in the car. I want to ask, I just want to go and ask a very good question. Does the Mercedes take, how can I put it? Does the Mercedes have broadcasting in it? The little screen that's inside the car, is that specifically for the stream? You don't worry about a review, you just change channel. So let's see where that's going to happen. Martin Rotsbach going and saying, how's it as well? Putting in a bit of support for the drivers. Good to see you, Martin Rotsbach. It's a long time no see, and also good to see the surname and name back once again. Christopher Adloff out in front, 130.1 to beat. Bernard Barkhuizen getting a 130.3 as his quickest lap time, still not close enough, and is trying desperately, chomping at the heels to go for the positions. Now, we do have a couple of things we will be trying out this evening. One, we had the countdown during the start of the stream. Absolutely love it. I know a lot of people will think it's a bit weird. We just got confirmation that Jude Neville is using a DIY phone mount, so a rudimentary version of Google Glass, if I'm correct by that, Mr. Neville, by having the screen over your one eye. If you go missing your brake marker, it's not my fault. It's because you got too much of a bigger phone. Go for a Nokia instead. Good to have the guys out here. A little bit of chat's going on. Love to see it. Love to see all the ribbing. Big thank you to Tim, the cameraman. He is going to be showing us all the cameras. Thank you to Tim. And also, Jim will be out on radio comms. You'll get to hear him during the course of the race, calling for pit lane to be open. Also, when pit lane closes, start of the race, and also when the race is finishing, along with final lap. So a big shout out to Jim and Tim. They don't get as much love as they should. Some say Tim the cameraman is related to a kangaroo. Others say Tim the cameraman invented the flying spiders in Australia. Did you know that? How's that for everyone? Piece of useless information that gets thrown out. Christopher Adloff out in first, Bernard Barkhuizen in second place, Grant Sebastian putting himself into third place, Under Sickers in fourth, Jamie Reese in fifth. So that is absolutely tremendous stuff. Martin, you don't know who Tim is? Well, Tim the cameraman is one of legend. We eventually dug him up from an Egyptian tomb. He was buried next to Tutankhamun. Some say he tested the coffin before Tutankhamun. All we know is he's Tim the cameraman. No one's seen him. We've only unearthed him. And even when we unearthed him, we didn't see him in the coffin. But we know he was there, due to an impression of a helmet that was left behind. How's that? The more you know. The more you know. Bert's Hugo also jumping into chat saying, how's it? And Bert is taking this time not to be in the car, but will be spectating from what's going on in behind the scenes for our Pro Division. 29 cars will be starting this evening, ladies and gentlemen. And this is just our Pro Division. We do have our Pro-Am and our Am Division. So entries are still open for drivers to come in and have a bit of fun, no matter what your driver class is. So if you're like myself, you're a bit out of luck. They need to make a special class for me. It was called the Elite Backmarkers. I'm so fast that I had to be in a class of my own. As it stands, though, Christopher Adloff will be taking first place for qualifying. Jamie Reese trying to improve, not able to improve. Morgan McCall coming around, is 0.1 up on his last lap time. So this is going to be a proper run. Let's see, will Morgan have enough in the tank? 0.1 up, still going to have to really carve it all together. Ryan Otten's 0.1 up on his last lap time, so he's trying to get a little bit more pace. Grant Sebastian still giving it everything he's got. He's lying in 6th place, charging down to the line. Will it be enough? No, he's going to be in 6th place. And Ryan Ottens moves himself into 5th place. Bernard Barkhuizen into 6th. Grant Sebastian into 7th. So, and Morgan McCall getting a little bit of a jump as he runs over the rumble strips. That's going to cost him a fair amount of time. I think has lost out the position. Issam Domingo out in the Aston Martin. And 22nd, 0.3 up on his last lap time. Can he make it work though? 0.1. Will Domingo be able to get out of 22nd position? Comes across the line, taking 20th spot. Well, ladies and gentlemen, while we wait for our drivers to start getting ready, they will be going down to the line. This is going to be a proper run. Russell saying, not going to lie, Hybrid Academy looking crazy fast. They have improved quite a bit in terms of pace, but there is a couple of drivers that you do need to take note of that are looking to fight it out at the top. And let's see how it's going to move forward come the end of this evening. So, with all our drivers lined up on the line, we're waiting to get started. Let's see if we can get this one all sorted out. Our Raceface GT3 Championship Season 16. Christopher Radloff out in 1st place. Jamie Reese in 2nd place. Daniel Rowe in 3rd. 4th, Morgan McCall, Ryan Ottens, Bernard Barkhuizen, Grant Sebastian, Unrich Sickers, Bago Krobler, Aiden Russell in 10th position. 11th is Kieran Duplessis, Mahayath Musa, Leclerc Basson, Johan van der Merwe, followed by Essie Esterhuis in 15th position. Sanjan Pillay trailing behind. AJ de Kock, Sean Verfiers, Eric Kirstein, Issam Domingo, Werner Skuman, Andre Serradio, Fleming Bauer in 23rd position. Tianas Buerta, Charles Darden, Harry Duplessis, Jean-Ray Buerta, Jude Neville, and Vessel Wooder down in 29th position. And Jude Neville actually going and ratting himself out a little bit. He's going to have to get a stern talking to because he's currently on his phone. So, cars lined up. It is going to be a half lap. It's going to be about 3 corners. You've got to get enough heat and heat into your pressures bouncing up in your tires. You're going to be low pressures, low heat into those tires, and brakes, making turn 1 very tricky to try and get it all sorted out. 1 hour and 20 minutes to go, 2 mandatory pit stops, and we are going to be going racing for round 1 right here at the Raceface.Pro GT3 Series Season 16, which many people didn't think was going to happen. As Christopher Radloff leads out, Jamie Reese in 2nd place, a copy-paste for those two to be in position. Daniel Rowe in 3rd, Morgan McCall in 4th, looking ready to go racing as they make their way through. Lights are at the waiting. Jim on the button. Waiting. Green light, and away we go racing, ladies and gentlemen, as they all power their way through, heading towards turn 1. It is going to be a proper charge, all jockeying for position. Christopher Adloff goes defensive. Daniel Rowe losing out. Take a look at Bernard Barkhuizen running out wide. He's trying to get ahead of Ryan Ottens and Morgan McCall. A little bit of contact, a little bit further back. A couple of the cars getting bounced around, and I think that might have been Johan van der Merwe that got caught up in a little bit of the carnage. Grant Sebastian also trying to take a look on the inside of Morgan McCall, unable to get by, but take a look a little bit behind him. Unrich Sickers doing everything he can. He's got Bago Krobler on the back of him. Aiden Russell hunting down that inside line as they make their way through. Christopher Radloff trying to power away. Jamie Reese in 2nd place has got Daniel Rowe firmly on his tail. Daniel does look for the inside line. Can't make it past us yet. Ryan Ottens doing everything he can to make a little bit of more of a move. Bernard Barkhuizen trailing behind. He's trying to get a little bit more movement behind him and get going. As we get informed, pit lane is now open. It's time for guys to take a look whether they want to go for a pit or not. So let's see if we can go for a quick replay at the start. And this is going right at the back. Seeing what happened in the mid grid. There is Van der Merwe trying to get himself going. Johan having a bit of a problem. Oh, contact from the rear, and it just landed up with a cascading effect. Sanjin Pillay also getting involved in that little bit of carnage. So just a little tap from behind cost quite a few positions, and a couple of guys having to rethink their strategies. Christopher Adloff still leading out the field. Jamie Rees out in second place. Daniel Rowe in third, trying to get a little bit more pace. Ryan Otten's in fourth, immediately onto the back and pushing his teammate to go a little bit quicker. Bernard Barkhuizen dealing with Morgan McCall, chasing him down behind. Grant Spash in seventh. Eighth is Bego Krobler. Ulrich Sickers doing everything he can to try and improve his lap time. Aiden Russell closing down the distance. For fears, Sanjin Pillay. Mahayath Musa immediately onto the back of him with Andres Radio looking up on the inside. A couple of cars have started doing their pit stops and getting sorted out. John Ray Buerta, who went and moved up from Pro to Pro-Am, is now needing a fight. SES Hayes also trying to get a little bit more pace underneath him. Looks for the inside line. Can't go for it just as yet. Will have to wait his time out. Now, I do know Essie was one of the drivers that was working with me, being rather patient. So as Jan van der Merwe, they were very, very patient in terms of teaching and explaining that it's all about getting those tires right up to temperature and also getting those pressures just right. You've got to wait to get on the throttle, and also going and explaining that Valencia is a rather tricky circuit to get it all working. Another little battle starting to form is Jean-Ray Buerta with Charles Darden immediately on the back of him. Jude Neville going and running out wide as he's pushing as hard as he can. Tiernas Buerta has got Issam Domingo and Harry Duplessis trailing behind. They are pushing as hard as they can to just close down. You can see how Clubasson closing up under braking, not able to get it right as yet. SESA is pulling into the pit, so he's getting his pit stops done and dusted. And now taking a look, Q Duplessis has done his pit stop, so he's done and dusted. Eric Costain and Johan van der Merwe all have done their first pit stops. SESA, Issam Domingo and Leclerc Basson, they are currently doing their pit stop. So we've got some early strategies coming into play. They're going to do some quick splashes and dashes. I don't think there's going to be any tire changes as it stands, but what we will see is drivers looking at going and putting in just a touch of fuel in. Grant Sebastian dealing with Bego Krobler, looking up on the inside, couldn't make it past, going to go a little bit late on the braking, closing in. Oh, rapid dive on the inside, pushes Grant Sebastian out. That does compromise his drive and allows Ulrich Sickers to go after him. Sickers doing everything he can to just get a little bit more of a chase. Let's go back 30 seconds and let's take a look from the helmet cam of Bego Krobler. Bego pushing as hard as he can. Looks around the outside, couldn't get it. Going to go for the send on the inside. This is out of the helmet cam of Bego Krobler. Dives up on the inside, had to straighten it out as the rear got a little bit twisted around. You can see a little bit of a drift as he's trying to bring the car back under power. It did compromise the drive of Grant Sebastian, but not too much to the point that threw him way down the order, just losing out 2 positions from that. But Grant Sebastian reclaiming and now has gone back on the hunt, really looking at that Aston Martin. Last season, we only saw 1 or 2 Aston Martins arrive, and the drivers needing to really relook at things. But now we're going to see a whole slew of different vehicles thanks to the new BOP that's been implemented, and that is to bring the racing a lot closer. And we get to see this old fan favorite, the big Bentley, that's been missing for quite some time. It's went out in the Encore race, which was previous season of the Grid Championship, brought to you by Metal State. But prior to that, it had a 1.5 to 2 year hiatus from racing here at Raceface due to not actually being the meta car to go for. When I talk about meta, I'm talking about a car that was a little bit quicker or seemingly better than the others. The BMW was took over the role from the Bentley and then later took over the role from the Aston Martin. The Ferrari then coming into play, very, very stable car, the 296, as we see on screen with Sanjan Pillay, then became the fan favorite car to go for. Last season was all about Lamborghini and Ferrari on the way charge. Mahath Musa in the big BMW going and fighting his way through. Still feel that the BMW's got that beaver teeth front end to it, but it's been doing so well. Very comfortable car to drive when you get your way into it, but very difficult to get very, very fast in. You've got to really start grabbing it by the neck and forcing its way through during the race. So, out in front, Christopher Adloff, Daniel Rowe, Ryan Ottens is all fighting it out. Bernard Barkhuizen, though, is lying in 4th place. He's got Morgan McCall following in tow. Now, be very, very cautious on this one. Bernard Barkhuizen and Morgan McCall are not teammates, but they are willing to push each other and maybe come to a compromise of, okay, let's work together. Let's not go and wipe out our tires. But if you start running the quicker lap times, may look to reverse roles, as Morgan McCall did put in the fastest lap time of the race last lap, 1:30.7, which is very, very close to what we were seeing during qualifying. But this is at a race tank, so this is literally a very, very full car that he's throwing around. The McLaren just getting unsteady, gets a little bit of a slide, gets a tank slapper. He's able to save it, but that's compromised his drive. Jamie Reese trying to go around the outside, has to back out though, running out of road, but was really on the hard charge to catch up to Morgan McCall. And a little bit further back, it does look like Andre Serradio ran into a little bit of a problem, as we see Fleming Bauer starting to drop down the order as AJ de Kock goes up on the inside. He's able to get past. So let's see what happened to Serradio in that last little bit, because we did get a yellow flag. That might have been an off track by the looks of it, and this is where it gets very tricky, because we do see a lot of, oh, there it is, hooking the curb and gets thrown about. Now, we saw a lot of that last night, where it was a lot of cars who are getting very upset over the sausage curbs and get thrown around. So the drivers are going to have to deal with the situation at hand of taking a little bit too much curb and how much it can impact you. As Andre Serradio has now got AJ de Kock and Fleming Bauer immediately onto the back of him. Fleming Bauer going to be pushing a little bit harder to try and break away and get a little bit closer to AJ de Kock for a pass, but unfortunately he's got to try and figure out what's going to work out best for him. He will be communicating with his teammate, who is 2 positions down. That's Jude Neville, who's keeping an eye on Charles Darden and Werner Skuman, saying, all right, where are they, what are they doing, and so I can plan out my race strategy at this point. So lots and lots of interesting little chats. I wish I had radio comms with the drivers, because there would be so much information that can be ascertained from each of them, but at the same time it's going to be a lot of teams not wanting to give a lot of their information away. Actually had a chat to one of the drivers on the weekend who refused point blank to go even tell what his tire pressures are, because that will gain an advantage. So I preferred rather not to have the tire pressures asked, and just saying, go out there till it drives nicely and work it out from yourself, which you can't go and argue with. Any advantage, especially at this level of pace, you've got to ensure that you are able to take it all the way through. So some very, very quick drivers going and moving their way through. Some professional teams have got guys in the background constantly working out the math, trying to figure it out, but you've also got your average Joes out there that are putting on a fantastic show. Remember, we do have our pros, which are currently on screen at the moment. Then you've got our Pro-Am division and our Am division that are currently circulating around the circuit. They are having an I can't say circulating, they are racing flat out for their respective championships. So Grant Sebastian is having a bit of fight with Henrik Sikkers a little bit further down, 14th and 15th positions. Andre Serradio, AJ de Kock. AJ looking up on the inside, couldn't get it past just as yet. Fleming Bauer closing down utilizing the brakes on that 992 Porsche GT3, the Aston Martin of AJ de Kock, doing everything he can under the braking of Andre Serradio over the curbs, and that Lamborghini just able to eke out a little bit more power down the straight, trying to close him down. AJ's not going to back out of it just as yet, had to back out, ran out of road. That did compromise his drive and allows Fleming Bauer to immediately get into the tow. Now Bauer's going to go look for the pass, as further up ahead we have got Fafiers and Aiden Russell going and battling it out, and Russell going and getting past. Back down to our 3-car train though, AJ de Kock and Fleming Bauer going and sliding their way through. And AJ just starting to open up that little bit of a distance. Fleming Bauer not getting the same drive as he wanted out of turn 1, and will be trying to focus on what's needed right now. So, as it stands, ladies and gentlemen, we're starting to get closer and closer to the time. We're nearly having 20 minutes thrown out, and you start wondering of what these tires are starting to look like. A couple of drivers that have done an early pit stop is Kevin Duplessis down in 23rd, Leclerc Besson, Jean-Ray Buerta, Eric Kirstein, SES Days, Issam Domingo, and Johan van der Merwe that have done their pit stop. Van der Merwe looking his rearview mirror. He's got Christopher Radloff closing down, so he will be getting the blue flags. Christopher Radloff trying to push a little bit harder at this point. He's 2.2 seconds ahead of Daniel Rowe, who is in a tough battle with Ryan Ottens behind. So he's going to be hoping to utilize the slipstream at this point to keep the charge up. What I do foresee is, guys, to start utilizing a bit more of, I would say, a 45 minutes split. AJ de Kock, he's got a little bit of a problem as Werner Skuman goes up on the inside. I actually want to re-look at that pass because that landed up at 3 wide, and Skuman taking a monstrous dive. Let's take a look on board the car as Werner Skuman sees the battle ahead of him. He's going to take a very opportunistic risk at this point, seeing how the door's closing down with the likes of Fleming Bauer just ahead of him. Looks up on the inside and just goes late on the brake. Deep send. Gets it perfectly between the two cars, and then had to deal with the Porsche on his outside. But that was a proper deep send into the corner. And congratulations on all 3 drivers from getting it right. Andre Serradio losing out a little bit of drive. That's allowed AJ de Kock to get past. AJ moving his way forward, and Serradio a little bit further down the order. So, not often do you see a lick it and send it that works, but we got to see one there from Werner Skuman for the Team Child Demons. Fleming Bauer, though, did come off a little bit second best on that. He got stuck on the outside and had to try and figure out where to go. A little bit further down, Jean-Ray Buerta dealing with Eric Kirstein. These two are coming to blows for the first time in our pro division, and you can see, oh, it didn't look like Kirstein could get it all together. Lost out a bit of drive there. Buerta getting a little bit door to door, and SES Days going and saying thank you very much on that pass. Let's actually go to Tim in the heli to give us a top-down view of Buerta versus Kirstein. Looks up on the inside. Buerta going around the outside, very close to the marbles. Has to try and come back onto the circuit. Does so. Kirstein, though, is going to get a little fraction ahead. Under braking, though, not just as much as he needed. Buerta going and braking very late. Gets a little bit of understeer, and the two coming to blows with one another. I think that is... it's a bit of paint rubbing. I would put that down to a race incident, but I'm actually curious to see what everyone else is thinking in the comments out there in the grandstands, out at Raceface.Pro. I see all you guys lining up and going and watching the stream as it stands, watching the race from the grandstand, standing on the edge of your seats for round 1 here at Valencia for the Raceface.Pro GT3 Series Season 16, as we watch our pros make their way around the circuit. What is everyone's thoughts? Who do you think is going to be able to get it, and when is the pit stops going to start flooding in? Because we've got a couple of cars that have gone in, but from 1st to 22nd are yet needing to pit. So it'll be interesting from everyone that's got a little bit of comms with the drivers to give their thoughts as well of what's going to happen. I know Van der Rest is busy sitting on board his tractor, working out, talking to his drivers, saying, right, keep it all together. Let's see where the tires takes us at this point. Martin Rotenbach also keeping a very, very close eye on the racing at hand. Morgan McCall getting very, very challenging with Jamie Rees immediately onto the back of him. So trying to lock down that inside line as hard as possible. Not able to just get it as yet. He's going to keep up the pace. And Morgan is chasing down Bernard Barkhuizen, who is now caught up to Ryan Ottens and Daniel Rowe as they do look to try and start carving their way through. It does look like they're going to get past Johan van der Merwe, who had a miserable start to his race, getting involved in a bit of early on contact, twisted around, so his tire pressures are going to be absolutely flattened out, and he went and decided to pit, did a splash and dash, little bit of a race dive from Barkhuizen up on the inside, side by side with Ryan Ottens. Ryan Ottens trying to come back at him though. The two of them come to blows, both of them going off circuit. Understeer coming into play. That is going to allow Morgan McCall to get a little bit closer. Morgan is going to dive up on around the outside, was looking for the inside, couldn't get it right. Jamie Rees immediately comes onto the back of him. Now Ryan Ottens got a problem. Morgan McCall going to chase him down, starts going towards the inside line, not going to back out of it, walking each other to the edges of the circuit. McCall now has got the outside line. He's going to try and get a little bit more pace. Will he be able to go for a little bit of a cutback? Tries to do so. Ottens goes out wide, loses drive. McCall gets by. McCall goes early on the brakes. That does compromise Ottens' drive, and that allows Jamie Rees to get into the fight. So this has gone and changed it up hugely, and Rees has an opportunity to go after Ryan Ottens, who got the fastest lap time in the race so far. Rees, who has been on the climb, the road to pro driver, now getting a little bit sideways. That traction control a fraction too far down. Will have to change what they call a TC2. That is the slip of the car. That's your left to right motion. You turn that up by one. Allow the car to just settle, slow a fraction down when it comes to sliding around. Does also help saving those rear tires, because once the rear tires go on the BMW M4 GT3, you land up with a world of problem. Ryan Ottens up on the inside of Morgan McCall. Couldn't get it all together. First drive-through penalty getting awarded to Wessel Wooder. And he unfortunately will be rethinking his strategy, because now a 2-stop's become a 3-stop for his race. Morgan McCall going and walking Ryan Ottens out a little bit wide. Ryan going and backing out of it. Does get a far better exit out of the final corner. Jamie Rees keeping very, very close behind. And, there's a bit of contact. Werner Skuman and Charles Darden coming to go to blows with one another. Werner Skuman just ahead. Charles Darden chasing him down in the black Ferrari. Goes late on the brakes, and Skuman going and defending the inside line. He's able to get it. Fleming Bauer chasing him down. He's got Jude Neville right behind him. Jude in the Merc is chasing down Fleming Bauer in the Porsche. Oh, and bit of sideways. Charles Darden under braking, losing it and going into the back of one of the cars. So he loses out a bit of drive, and more than enough positions at this point. Aiden Russell, Fafiers, and Sanjan Pillay all getting marked. They got caught up in a bit of contact, and let's take a look at what happened. Aiden Russell a little bit further ahead. He's doing everything he can, defending around the outside, and side by side between the two, goes out wide. Unfortunately, it does look like the BM goes out a bit wide. Mahath Musa, Sanjan Pillay going and not having too much of an issue there. For Fears though, big send, door-to-door knocking with Sanjan Pillay. That's where that contact came into play. Sanjan Pillay did try and go back for the inside line, not able to get it all together as yet. So some proper door-to-door racing in our pro category at the moment. Mahath Musa though, big send up on the inside of Aiden Russell as they go and swap around. The two Project Vapor cars going and swapping positions, but I don't think that was planned at all. It did look like Aiden Russell went a little bit too deep into the corner. Musa, on the other hand, said, thank you very much, I'm going to go for it. And here comes Fafiers, goes up on the inside, couldn't make it stick. Will try and get a far better drive out of the final corner, not able to get the power down as much as he wanted. Musa now utilizing a little bit more pace, and you can see Fafiers going and flashing his lights saying, I'm coming. Don't worry about me. Tries to go deep under braking, not able to get it. And Russell going and defending his position. So that is going to compromise some drive. Kieran Duplessis up into 21st position, has completed the first of all his pit stops, so keep that in mind. SESAs and Andre Serradio, these two friends coming against one another. Andre Serradio and Essie have a long history with one another in the world of racing. Now they're going to mix it out. The ZRC and Project Vapor team will be going all out claws against one another. Essie diving on the inside, couldn't make it stick just as yet. Serradio getting a far better exit in that Lamborghini will now have the disadvantage as Essie in the Porsche will be in the slipstream, trying to close down the distance. As we see Charles Darden, he's in the pits getting himself sorted out, getting his first pit stop out of the way. Essie does look for the inside line, but Serradio defending like no tomorrow at this point is able to maintain his position. So, with racing being as it is, we have got the likes of Christopher Radloff who will be coming and seeing Charles Darden exiting the pits. He has to just get in between the two of them, and he's trying to make his way past one of the back markers, and I think that is Issam Domingo that had to get very, very defensive, allowing Christopher Radloff to get by, but had to immediately close the door because Charles Darden got onto the back of him. Daniel Rowe in second place is putting up a bit of a drive with Bernard Barkhuizen in third, running over the curbs a little bit too deep through the corner as he's trying to close down on Johan van der Merwe, one of our back markers at this point, and utilize the slipstream to get a bit closer. Morgan McCall in fourth place, Ryan Ottens in fifth, sixth, Jamie Rees, Grant Sebastian in seventh, Bago Krobler in 8th position, Andrik Sikkers in 9th, 10th, Mahath Musa, followed by Aiden Russell for Fears in 12th, 13th is Sanjan Pillay, AJ de Kock, Fleming Bauer, Jude Neville, Tianis Buerta, Kerry Duplessis, Werner Skuman, Kieran Duplessis, Vessel Wooder, Leclerc Besson, Andre Serradio, SES Days, Eric Kirstein, and Jean-Ray Buerta going and trailing behind their 27th positions. Issam Domingo, Charles Darden right on the back of him, and Johan van der Merwe at the back end of the field at the moment, just trying to keep his way out of any trouble as he circulates around the circuit. So, Paul Fenter going and saying, how's it on the grandstands as well? He's going and supporting his logistical nightmare racing team that are battling it out. And Paul, you would be surprised. There's been some really, really impressive passing. Gotta say, if I can put a vote of the most impressive pass that was clean, and I will say very, very clean, that had to go to Werner Skuman a little bit early on, dived in for the inside line. And a little bit of late braking. He actually managed to slide his way in between two cars without a single bit of contact, gaining himself a position. So, well done, Skuman. You did take the passing award so far. Bernard Barkhuizen, he's feeling a bit of pressure from Morgan McCall. Ryan Otten's trying to get a little bit more pace. Grant Sebastian has got Bago Krobler all over him. Bago Krobler looking a little bit loose out there. He's got to try and wrangle the Aston Martin back at this point as he gets back into the tow. Grant Sebastian with that big Mercedes is going to start powering away. You got to really go and enjoy the big front engines that are sliding their way through. They're really putting on the power. Good to see that the BOP has come into play where you get to see the Aston Martin duking it out with Mercedes. Lots of guys did complain that Mercedes was very, very loose. It seems like with the added weight, it seems to be a little bit more impressive, and the rear seems to be sticking this time around. But we'll have to put that to the test. So, Paul, test for you. Go and see if the Mercedes actually slides or whether it sticks. I know you're used to going and either getting it sideways into a wall or getting it right. You're going to be the test dummy for this one. AJ de Kock up on the inside for Fears, going around the outside. The two EG Evolved and Hybrid Academy cars coming to blows with one another. They're looking to get a little bit more racy side by side as they're heading into turn one. BMW versus Aston Martin. I know the Aston looks better than the BM, but just couldn't have a straight line over the BMW at this point, and will have to tuck into the toe. Bago Kroblet getting ahead of Grant Sebastian on that last little bit of overtake. And that has allowed Ulrich Sikkers to get into the play. So let's go back roughly about 10 seconds. Nope, that was a little bit too early. Wanted to go and see the pass and, well, didn't get to see it. So, unfortunately, that coming in there. Andres Serradio, though, going a little bit slow, and SES Ace going a little bit slow. They had contact warnings pop up on the screen. Andres Serradio and Essie side by side. Serradio, coming into the side of Essie. I think Essie picked up a little bit of understeer. Serradio also just trying to turn in, both going for the same piece of tarmac, and both, unfortunately, landing in the weeds. So rubbing is racing, but unfortunately, when you start being a little bit like rubber, you bounce off one another. Some very, very close racing between the two. Unfortunately, understeer and turning in a fraction early did land up in a bit of hurt. Bernard Barkhuis and Morgan McCall, they're also going and rubbing doors with one another. Werner Skuman is in the pits, getting himself sorted out now, and this is going to be a proper little run. Tyler Humphreys also joining in the grandstand. He's going to be quite happy with the racing at hand. Morgan McCall looks up on the inside, tries to send it. The McLaren doing everything it can to try and get that little bit of grip at the moment, but at the moment it is just like a melted ice cream. A McFlurry going and sliding around, just not able to get the same grip as it would like to on that front end. Just having it start washing out mid-corner, and that might be because it's not getting enough pressure on the nose in terms of aerodynamics. He's stuck in that slipstream where all the air is flowing right over his car, so no pressure on the nose. He's not able to get it in, and relying purely on mechanical grip. You can see even braking a little bit later, can't get it going at the moment, and that is a proper race. Just getting a bit of new information coming in from our reporters on the ground, actually. Well, I say reporters on the ground, it's actually the teammate of the Logistical Nightmare team, as Paul Fenter, saying Fleming Bauer not so long ago was hooked up to a drip and was sleepy. So Fleming Bauer actually coming out of hospital, being out on a drip, and like a true petrol head he is, he's out there soldiering on in 14th position, leaving his teammate for dead at the moment to deal with Dennis Puerta. And Jude Neville going, whatever they gave you in that drip, buddy, it's obviously the jungle juice to get you going. So, Paul, I think we need to go and figure out what jungle juice they gave Fleming Bauer, because at the moment the man's on a mission and is in a proper charge to close down to AJ de Kock just ahead of him in 13th position. About 7 seconds up the road, but he is starting to break into that time little by little. So let's see how the race is going to continue with that. Andre Serradio, as Eric Kirstein very late on the brakes, and I think Kirstein got a monster of a fright in closing and brake distances to actually go on board. And you see how late he went on the brakes and having to just straighten out to avoid having a rear end contact with Serradio. Yep, a little bit too late through the first brake marker. And Serradio going a fraction too early, but here it comes into the little left-hander. Hard on the brakes. Very late, and had to take an evasive maneuver there. Definitely changing the color of his shorts while driving. Having a little bit of a late braking maneuver. I think he missed the pit board by roughly 10 meters, and unfortunately that has compromised his drive. Jean-Ray Puerta dealing with SESS. These two have come to blows in endurance racing, but never in pro. And Christopher Adloff flashing his lights. He's saying, listen guys, I want to get past you. But these two are fighting for position as Puerta goes out very wide. And Christopher Adloff trying to go in between the two. Goes around the outside. Essie going and clamping on the brakes as hard as he can to just make the corner. That has allowed Puerta to close back on and get back into the charge for Fears. Also going and closing down, seeing the battle just ahead of him. He knows what's at hand. Essie's going to keep right onto the tail of our leader as it stands. Christopher Adloff in the big Bentley trying to pull away, and Essie just trying to utilize that slipstream at the moment to break away from Jean-Ray Puerta, who has got for Fears looking left and right, trying to figure out what to do to get past Daniel Rowe, who is in the Porsche behind them, is in second place. He will have to then try and figure his way around this battling duo as they fight their way through. Jean-Ray Puerta not going to put up too much of a defense at the moment, going to be taking his normal racing line to try and carry a little bit of momentum. Did stop a little bit slower on the apex, and that would compromise the drive of Afear's BMW. That turbocharged BMW not having as much a low-end torque as it would like, running right over the curb, bouncing their way around. Fafiers does look up on the inside, will try his best. The two coming to blows with one another. A little bit sideways. Daniel Rowe feeding his way in between the two of them. Fafiers, though, getting by. And John Roberta, utilizing the slipstream of Daniel Rowe, will go and get past. And Morgan McCall pulling into the pit. So Morgan, part of our top 10, has now pitted. And that will change up his time. Grant Sebastian in 8th place. He has got Ulrich Sickers looking up behind him, seeing underneath that rear wing. Looks for the inside line, second guesses it, and makes his way through turn 1, heading into turn 2. And this is where we saw some contact. I know Paul Fenter, who's sitting out in the grandstand, busy clenching at the moment, gritting his teeth, going and saying, be careful, guys. I know what turn 2 does. And if we brake rather late, especially in the wet, you tend to bounce around like no tomorrow. So he's going and sitting frantically looking at all the drivers and just going, be rather cautious because you're braking and turning at the same time. And just a little miss of the brake markers can be detrimental to your race as it stands. Sanjay Pillay is dealing with AJ de Kock right behind him. De Kock pushing as hard as he can to claw his way into the top 10. Not going to back out of it as yet. Sanjay Pillay, though, is going to get very, very defensive, locking down that inside line and being pretty much like a rugby line out. He's going to be locking down and ensuring the British Aston Martin will not get past the South African livery Ferrari as it stands. So some proper racing. Jamie Rees, though, is going to be questioning a few things. Drive-through penalty awarded for track limits. He's going to be sitting, scratching his head. Where did I push that a little bit too hard and score the drive-through penalty? He's got 3 laps to get it right. And I know that Cheryl, who is out in the grandstands, will be immediately trying to warn and say, listen, you've got to get in the pits. You've got to get that out of the way. And Rees will be going, I know, I need to refocus and reevaluate things and get back onto the charge. Jean Roberta is onto the back of Fafiers, and he is doing everything he can. They are getting past at the moment, or doing some lapping. It does look like they got Bernard Barkhuizen actually trying to get past him. Bernard Barkhuizen in 3rd place is looking to try and pull away from Jamie Rees and Ryan Ottens as it stands. Does look up on the inside. Will he go a little bit later? Berta going to back out of it. Allow the BMW to get by, but utilize the slipstream and try and use Bernard Barkhuizen like a bit of a battering ram at this point. Charles Darden, though, getting a warning as well, coming up for contact. So let's see what happened to him. Grant Sebastian a little bit ahead of him, and he is the Ferrari that's caught in this little bit of a sandwich, trying to make his way around the circuit. Got the Aston Martin, a little bit of a nudge behind. I think that was just a fraction of a lift-off, and the two of them came to blows. Charles Darden, though, getting himself back on circuit, but he's on the racing line, and a couple of drivers having to take evasive maneuvers, and unfortunately not able to go anywhere, but well done to hold his brakes. A couple of drivers that, they get taught to hold your brakes. I do want to point out someone that has jumped from his tractor. Not too long ago, ladies and gentlemen, this driver right here, Rian van der Race, was sitting on a tractor watching the stream from his phone. He's now in the pits. He's going to go out. My heavens. So well done. Good to see that. AJ de Kock getting ahead of Sanjay Pillay. Jamie Rees now exiting the pits after serving his drive-through. Will be out in 12th place now, trying to make up a bit of time after the unfortunate incident of track limits, but will now be focusing on the charge. AJ de Kock dealing with the likes of Skuman right behind him. And Skuman getting very, very close. Now remember, Skuman wants to try and get past. He's a little bit further down the order, and he wants to try and unlap himself. He's currently lying in 28th position, so he's got to be a little bit patient on this one, as Sanjay Pillay has got the likes of AJ de Kock looking left, right, center, trying to figure out where he can go. Sanjay's not going to back out of it, though, as AJ de Kock does look up on the inside. Couldn't get it all together. They're going to power their way through, but Skuman backing out, allowing the two to go and duke it out. He's going to wait for a perfect opportunity to come by. But as it stands, Morgan McCall pitted out of the top 10. he is now in 16th position. So keep an eye on Morgan McCall. He's a viable threat for our front runners, followed by Q and Duplessis and the likes of Leclerc Basson. Vessel would have went and served a drive-through penalty. Andre Serradio, Eric Kirstein, they have done their pit stops. SES Days has done his pit stop. Fafiers has done his pit stop. Kerry Duplessis, Jan van der Merwe has done his pit stop. And actually, Jean-Ray Buerta is one to keep an eye out for. Charles Darden's done his pit stop. But Jean-Ray Buerta completing all his pit stops with 44 minutes to go. And I actually want to take a look. Both pit stops were only splashes and dashes. So he's taken away the ability to go and change tires. Very interesting tactic. He's going to try and take those tires right the way through. It is possible, but certain conditions need to be met. You mustn't go and wear down the tires, locking it up, sliding. That takes life out of the tires and will impact your race severely. Taking a monster of a gamble, though, to go and do such an early pit stop may turn things a little bit on its head. AJ Lecoq ahead of Sanjan Pillay. Sanjan runs out wide. Skuman tries to look for the inside line. Remember, Skuman, who is trailing behind Sanjan Pillay as it stands, will be a blue flag at the moment, but has got a lot of pace underneath him to keep up the fight. So he's one to keep a very close eye on as well, trying to unlap himself and sees everyone ahead of him. So I do want to point out, this man, as I spoke about a little bit earlier, was sitting on his tractor a couple of minutes ago. He is now driving. Practice 0. Okay, practice 0. 2, warm up 0. Qualifying 0. He is laps down on the field. He's 23 laps down. And by the looks of it, still trying to figure out where the circuit is, thinking it's Brands Hatch while at Valencia. But I want to take my hat off to the driver because he still made it to the field. He's still going to circulate. He's still going to go for the points. So, for the race, you earn my respect. You have properly earned my respect. I've been there. I've done that. And it's not an easy thing to know that you're not fighting out for any positions. But you're going to keep it going. Morgan McCall going after Tiernas Buerta, looks to the inside line, gets a little bit squirrely. The two McLarens now coming to blows with one another. Tiernas locking down the inside. McCall going to go around the outside, going to get back onto the power early on, slides his way through. Beautiful slide. That McLaren going and sliding its way through into position. Tiernas Buerta not able to get his way going. Bit of support going on for Aiden Russell, who has got himself into 8th position. We've got Mornay going and saying, how's it? Mornay Pelser going and supporting Aiden Russell in his endeavours as they claw their way through. Good to see some support out in the grandstands and also down in the pit lane. A lot of drivers, teams and spectators all going and showing support for the drivers that are currently out on the circuit. Not only for our Pro, but our Pro-Am and our Gold drivers, also known as Am. They are going and having a bit of fun out there. Really putting on a great show. And yeah, gotta say, some amazing happenings out on the circuit. AJ DeCock pulling into the pits. Jude Neville pulling into the pits as well. So going to be taking a bit of a gamble there. And putting out of the top 10. So 12th and 13th position, AJ DeCock and Jude Neville, as it stands, will be waiting and keeping a very close eye on things. One of the drivers, unfortunately, disconnecting, and Rian for the race does move himself into 29th position from that. So there's going to be some interesting happenings there. Out in front, though, is Christopher Adloff, followed by Daniel Rowe, Bernard Barkhuizen, Ryan Ottens, Bego Krobler, Anrik Sikkers, Mahath Musa, Aiden Russell in 8th position. Jamie Rees, who came out of the pits after serving a drive-through, is in 9th position. But first of everyone that's done their first pit stop, Morgan McCall, who's on the back of Jamie Rees. So bear that in mind. Morgan McCall in that top 10 has become a very viable threat with how he's challenged everyone. Bernard Barkhuizen's now pulled into the pits as well. So Bernard Barkhuizen's trying to get his pit stop done and dusted. Tiernas Buerta still out on the circuit. He is lying in 11th position. Q and Duplessis, followed by Leclerc Basson. Jude Neville has got Grant Sebastian. The two Mercedes are now duking it out. The Last of the V8, the true V8 for 2023 are currently out on circuit. And I say last of the true V8s because everyone else has gone the turbocharged route. Rip to the naturally aspirated monsters that we've seen out on the circuit. Everyone's going for those squeaky cars. You got to use a lot of Q20 on those cars because under braking when they come off the throttle, there's always just this squeaking from a turbo. Still say no replacement for displacement. Grant Sebastian and Andre Serradio with On Sebastian chasing him down. SES Ace in 17th. 18th is AJ de Kock. Sanjin Pillay for Fears in 20th position. 21st, Kerry Duplessis. Johan van der Merwe up into 22nd position. Remember, was involved in earlier contact into turn 1, where he got thrown off to the weeds, able to get himself back. Charles Darden in 23rd. 24th, Vessel Wooder, followed by the likes of Issam Domingo, Jean-Ray Buerta, who has completed all his pit stops and is on a monstrous charge. Fleming Bauer, who is challenging him for position. Now remember, Bauer has completed all his pit stops and came back from the hospital. So take that for what it is. He is fighting for position after coming out of the hospital. Not an easy run there. Gotta say, some really good work. Eric Kirstein in 28th position. 29th is Rian van der Roost, who's moved up one position. 23 laps down, but has moved up position. Got to be in it to win it. Ryan Otten's pulling into the pit. Heinrich Sicker's into the pit. Daniel Rowe is into the pit. That is going to allow Christopher Radloff and Bagger Krobler to carry on their charge. Aiden Russell keeps on going. Jamie Rees is still going to keep up the charge, but Morgan McCall moves himself up into 5th position with everyone pitting. So now Morgan has got the cards in his hand. He's undercut the rest of the field, but will it help? That second pit stop, that splash and dash for the last 37 minutes and 40 seconds is crucial to figure out where are you going to do it. Remember, it takes roughly 33 seconds from entrance to exit to get it right. Do want to point out though some interesting facts. Daniel Rowe taking a fresh set of boots. He's got some fresh tires on that car. Bernard Barkhuizen got a fresh set of tires. Ryan Ottens has taken on a fresh set of tires. Grant Sebastian's got a fresh set of tires. Heinrich Sickers has taken on a fresh set of tires. Mahath Musa has taken on a fresh set of tires. AJ de Kock, Sanjin Pillay, Fafiers, Kerry Duplessis, Johan van der Merwe, Kieran Duplessis. They have all taken on tyres. Fleming Bauer's taken on a new set of tyres. Jude Neville's taken on a new set of tyres. Eric Kirstein, Charles Darden have all taken on a new set of tyres for this race. Is that going to help? Well, we're about to find out. Morgan McCall trying to go for a little bit of a cutback and getting Tiernas Buerta following him in. He's chasing after Jamie Rees. So Jamie Rees will be doing his first pit stop at the moment and will be concentrating on long game. Christopher Radloff pulling out of the pits. That has allowed Bagger Krobler and Aiden Russell to take first and second respectively. So that's going to be a little bit of a run to see how it goes. Daniel Rowe going to try and get right behind Christopher Radloff as it stands. He's got pressure from Bernard Barkhuizen, who's closing down. Both have decided to take new tyres. Ryan Ottens out on the circuit. Jamie Rees still parked. Tiernas Buerta still parked. And Morgan McCall still needing to get out. Morgan spending a fair amount of time in the pits, is getting himself going. That was a very, very lengthy pit stop. And I think that might be for putting on a fresh set of tyres as he exits the pits. Let's take a look at our drivers. Yes, Morgan McCall has taken on a new set of tyres as well, completing all his pit stops. Oh, but the stop-go 30-second penalty, exiting the pits. Getting into second gear just too early and going and breaking the speed limit when it all was looking going his way. Man, oh man, this is going to hurt. So, Mornay, go and answer your question. Very good question for many people that aren't very familiar with GT3 racing. A pit stop counts by you putting at least 1 liter of fuel in the car. You do not have to change tires, but on a circuit like this, it is advisable because of the amount of life you take out of it. Running over the curbs, pushing as hard as you can, sliding, locking up. All of that takes life out of the tires. It makes it slide more and more as you go through. So it's something you got to be well aware of. So you don't have to take tires. A lot of drivers haven't taken tires, but there has been a fair amount that have. Andre Serradio, let's take him for a first one. He's done his first pit stop, did a splash and dash. Just put fuel in the car, same set of tires, go out. Have to bring the temperatures back up. Advantage, you don't spend as much time in the pits. 2, your tires are reasonably warm that you can get out and get going. Your pressures are where you need it to be roughly. But in turn, those tires have done 30 laps as it stands. So that is now 30 laps of life taken out of it. To compare it, well, think about it this way. A new set of tires is like buying a brand new car. You walked into VW, you've bought that Polo off the showroom floor, 0.0 kilometers on the clock. You know that it's got all the life at it, and if you want to stand on the throttle, it will outdrive everything that exists. In Andre Serradio's point, by not having a new set of tires, he's gone and bought that second-hand Golf out of the used car dealership. You know that it's trusty, it's done the mileage, you know what you've got, and you know what you're able to do with it. But at the same time, it's not going to have the same drive as the Polo. It's not going to be that brand spanking new car. It might have that musty smell of, Granny from 30 years back that stopped at the church. The spilt milk that was in the passenger seat on a beautiful summer's afternoon at 30 degrees. You may have that lurking around and lingering. That may take the fun out of the race. Wouldn't recommend anyone for a science experiment. Don't spill milk in your car. Not a good idea. You will regret it. And a PSA announcement, don't blame the commentator for testing that theory out. So just a bit of fun there. Aiden Russell out in first place. He's still needing to do his first pit stop. Christopher Radloff out in second place has done his first pit stop. And Daniel Rowe in third. Bernard Barkhuizen in fourth. Ryan Ottens in fifth. Sixth is Bagar Krobler. Grant Sebastian in seventh. Unrik Sikkers in eighth place. Ninth, Mahith Musa. Andre Serradio in 10th. AJ de Kock in 11th position. Sanjan Pillay in 12th. 13th, Jamie Rees, followed by Fafiers in 14th. 15th is Tianas Buerta. Harry Duplessis. Kieran Duplessis, first of everyone that has done their pit stop. So he is now racing to the end at this point and will be concentrating on getting a consistent run. SES De Hayes up into 18th, also has completed all his pit stops. Vessel order, done a drive-through penalty and now trying to claw his way through. Issam Domingo, though, has a bit of a problem as he gets pushed out a little bit wide. He's got Daniel Rowe trying to go around the outside, chasing after Christopher Radloff. Jude Neville going and getting a bit of pressure as Fleming Bauer tries to look up on the inside. Jude managing to get past, but now it's got Bernard Barkhuizen behind Fleming Bauer. So Barkhuizen trying desperately to get past, launches his way through. Fleming Bauer goes and opens door and says, sure, go ahead, but immediately has to glue Basson onto the back of him. Jean-Ray Buerta is also closing down the distance. Eric Hustain, Morgan McCall, after completing that stop-go 30-second penalty, where it all is going his way, unfortunately, Lady Luck walked out the pits and Murphy walked in with that 10 socket that you lost 3 weeks ago. Came into the pits and unfortunately made the McCalls a little bit more frustrated. That engaging second gear or getting off the pit limiter a little bit too early, that 1 or 2 kilometers too fast. But our Mr. Plod doesn't care whether you're 1 kilometer over or 100 kilometers over, you will get fined. And that was the stop-go 30-second penalty. Jan van der Merwe, Charles Don, and Ren van der Roost is still out. Aiden has been doing really well in his driving, actually. Can't fault him on that. He has been moving his way up through the order and has got himself out into first place. A little bit of early on contacts but is looking to keep up drive. He's still needing to do his pit stops, though. That is going to throw him down the order. At the moment, he's 21.2 seconds ahead of Christopher Radloff, but by the time he gets pit stops, we expect to see him roughly about 6th, 7th position as it stands. Sanjin Pillay is battling out with Jamie Rees. Jamie Rees looking up for the inside line, and I did see yellow flags coming into play. Kerry Duplessis and Kieran Duplessis coming into contact with one another. Let's take a look at what happened. Kerry in the orange Ferrari and Kieran in the Hybrid Academy silver tries to look for the inside line, and you can see Kerry going out a little bit wide. Kieran going and battling it out, tries to look for the inside line, trying to get that nose in very, very early. Rear contact between the two, both get a slide. Oh, a little bit of a straighten each other up. Kerry Duplessis getting himself going. That's Kieran going and saying, listen, that was a little bit on the nose, and I did try and straighten you out, didn't quite work out there. Aiden Russell pulling into the pits. That is going to allow Christopher Radloff, who's currently in 2nd place, to get a little bit more of a charge. Daniel Rowe trying to close down the distance. Bernard Barkhuizen still a viable threat. He is in 3rd place. Now this is where the questions are going to be looking in. You got 28 minutes to go. Do you take it down to the wire for a late pit stop? Or, hear me out on this one, go for a pit stop in the next lap or two and try and focus on keeping a clean drive all the way through. Now, sounds weird. Lots of people are going to be asking questions. Why a lap or two? Think about the trains that you're running to at the moment. How many back markers you're trying to carve your way through. You're constantly lifting off the throttle. Rather open up into clear air and then get the drive back. So that's one thing we're going to have to keep an eye out for as our drivers maneuver their way around the course here at Valencia. And, well, a new thing and an old thing. I finally got it working along with Tim the cameraman. We have got our head-to-head, ladies and gentlemen, where we see Jamie Rees chasing after AJ de Kock ahead of him. And Jamie Rees is a little bit faster through the first sector. AJ de Kock trying to improve as well as they fight their way through. So our head-to-head coming into play, and this is going to open up a bit of speculation of how guys are looking to improve their driving. Let me know if there's anything else looking at adding head-to-head track map, something we can bring up and look into in the future. Who knows? Who knows? AJ de Kock was a little bit faster in the previous sector. Jamie Rees was actually faster than AJ de Kock and the likes of Andre Serradio in that previous sector. So he's head-to-head a little bit quicker than both, trying to make up a fair amount of time. Coming into sector 2, though, is he going to be a little bit quicker than the likes of Serradio? He is quicker, so he's been improving. He has been vast improvement as it goes through. So our head-to-head going and putting on a bit of a show. Great to see it there. Leclerc Basson, he's battling out with Fleming Bauer. This is also going to be rather interesting as Fleming Bauer, a little bit quicker through sectors 1, 2, and 3 on the previous runs, will be concentrating on it. Fleming Bauer was a little bit slower that time in sector 1. Leclerc Basson trying to get a little bit more pace. Eric Kirstein was actually a bit slower on that last little run. Drive-through penalty for Rian van der Reest as he tries to make his way through. So Bauer, who has come out of the hospital with a drip, now in a monstrous battle, trying to run a little bit of a close head-to-head battle as it stands. But Bauer getting on the power a little bit early on the Porsche, getting a little bit of a slide as well. And that did have Leclerc Basson a little bit slower in the last sector than both Eric Kirstein and Fleming Bauer. So Basson now needs to try and grit his teeth and get a little bit quicker through the final sector. Sector 3 is 0.5 off the last lap time in terms of grip as well. As they come across the line, sectors 2 and 3 is his problem to get past Fleming Bauer, and Kirstein was quicker through sector 2 and 3. This provides an interesting situation for Kirstein, though, as he dives up on the inside, and that does have Leclerc Basson actually giving the line So I think realizing he's not as quick through the sectors, he's losing a bit of time. He's going to rather utilize the slipstream to close down. And that's what we love seeing with those sector times, comparing the drivers, finding out who's going to be able to move forward. So Eric Costain now onto the back of Morgan McCall. So Morgan going and getting a little bit more pace. He's trying to claw his way through to victory at this point. So Leclerc Besson will be looking at Morgan McCall now and trying to figure out what's going to work for him. As Bauer not able to get as much run as he would like. And trying to maneuver his way through. So I do have to correct myself. Besson actually moving over for a leader, but was still slower through the last sector times. Morgan was quicker than the likes of Kirstein. So do want to point that out. I do apologize for the mistake. But Jude Neville and SES, they are battling it out with one another once again. And this is going to be a bit of an interesting run between the two. So with that being said, let's bring up a head-to-head for the last 24 minutes between these two, because it's going to be a nice look at. So SES running in 18th position has got Jude Neville in the Mercedes right behind him. Jude's been showing positive climb throughout the race, and now has been on a monstrous charge. Taking an earlier line, though, is going to be right up against the rear tail of Essie. Does look around the outside, tries to do a little bit of a switchback on the inside, wasn't able to get it going. Sector 1, though, I do expect to be a slightly quicker than Essie. No, was actually slightly slower, so that means he's braking a little bit too hard. Essie also defending, lost our time in that previous sector to Kerry Duplessis. That is going to compromise his drive, and we'll have to try and figure out what's going to work there. Leclerc Besson and Fleming Bauer, they're still going at it from behind, and they are fighting one another. But Essie at the moment trying to improve his previous sector time, and Jude Neville's not going to back out of this just as yet. Has to go out wide to allow a leader to come past. That is going to compromise his sector, which will allow Essie to open up the distance as well. As we can see, Essie was quicker through that last sector due to the overtake, but now it is up to Jude Neville to utilize the slipstream to pull himself a little bit closer. So a little bit of technical knowledge there for everyone. We split the track into threes. First sector, second sector, third sector. And those deltas, what we call them, do help in terms of whether you're on a positive delta, means that you're a lot closer to your best lap time, or beating your best lap time. If you're on a negative of your delta, the red, that means that you're losing out. Sanjay Pillay, beautiful pass on Andre Serradio, putting his nose in, holding the tight apex, especially a late apex through the second part of the corner. Oh, Serradio getting all kinds of sideways, running a bit over the curb and losing out a bit of run. Fleming Bauer and Leclerc Besson came a little bit of contact between the two of them. Let's see what happened. So we are taking a look at Fleming Bauer. He's out in the Porsche. And we should see Besson, who's chasing him in the Ferrari. Besson going out a little bit wide. That is going to compromise his drive, though. Dives up on the inside. Big send from yards back. Sure, okay. Won't lie. Besson, from sending it so far back, you got to get your passport stamped, my friend. That was a little bit overzealous of a dive. And unfortunately, has cost you a fair amount of time. And thankfully, Bauer not losing out too much drive there as he catches up to Jude Neville. But Besson, with that monstrous dive up on the inside, couldn't make it stick. Now, we've seen it before where drivers take that monstrous dive up on the inside to try and get past. But unfortunately, just running out of road and you're going at such a pace that you stand on the brakes and then you just lock up. And unfortunately, you're just going straight at that point. You can't turn the car enough to cross the line. So our drivers making their way through. 20 minutes and 50 seconds to go, ladies and gentlemen. So with your thoughts out in the grandstand, taking a look at the amazing racing that's currently out on circuit. Jude Neville going in out, braking himself, goes out very wide, stuck on the marbles, so can't get the power down. That is going to allow Fleming Bauer to become a bit more of a fight. The two teammates are going to duke it out between each other. And Morgan McCall also closing down. He's making his way back up. Remember, they are fighting for position at the moment. They are trying to catch up to the likes of Kewan Duplessis as it stands. AJ de Kock, though, and Aiden Russell have done their pit stops. So Jamie Reese, who has done his first pit stop, is into 9th position. Sunjin is into 10th position. Aiden Russell, who has completed his first stop. Hold the phone. Hold the phone. Taking a look at my software at the moment, taking a look at what currently see out on the screen with you guys. Aiden Russell did do his pit stop, his second pit stop, but he was not aligned in the pit box, so it didn't count. So that's now moved him from a 2-stop strategy to a 3-stop strategy. It didn't count as a pit stop because he was out of his box. That is going to heavily impact his race. He's pretty much got the same run as the likes of Jamie Reese and the likes of Morgan McCall, because he's going to have to stop again, get 1 liter of fuel put in the car, and then get going. But lining up with the box, my heavens, that is going to change his race right the way around. And man, I can tell you as a driver, it's one of the most frustrating things in the world. You want to lose your temper, but you can't. You're going to have to just dial yourself back in. As we see Fafier's deep send on the inside, gets past, runs Aiden very wide. Aiden trying to go back for the inside line, can't do it just as yet. Deep send, 2 of them coming to blows, and Seradio then getting a bit more involved. Seradio dives in, he gets a little bit arms out with the likes of Fafier's. Fafier's goes dead on straight. He couldn't hit the brakes late enough and is trying to rejoin the circuit, but that is going to take his race into a little bit of an oncoming run. Unfortunately, I mean, that's nothing much you can do. So let's actually go and take a look from Fafier's perspective inside his helmet. And he was putting in the charge, tried going for the inside line, second guessed it, changed his line, went for Seradio. Had Aiden Russell, a bit of a bump on the inside. Here comes Seradio, also getting a little bit elbows out. Oh, the 2 of them coming to blows. Turned for the apex, and unfortunately, Seradio did not budge at that point. But the BMW sure as hell did, and landed up going out in the weeds. So, a little bit of a difficult situation there. The driver needs to just try and dial himself back in, refocus into the efforts, and get racing once again. Fleming Bauer and Morgan McCall, they are racing out. Also had a slight little bit of contact. Let's see if we can go back and see what happened. I think this was the minutest of contacts between the two, as McCall was still behind. Through turn 1, all looking clear. Let's go to Tim and the heli, side by side. Little bit of paint rub. Bauer not backing out, and McCall having to just lift off the throttle, tuck in behind. So the slightest of rubbing paint between the two, but both of them showing some great driving skills in terms of racing door to door. But Morgan McCall, deep send, getting past Bauer. Bauer trying to go for a bit of a cutback, too far back this time around, and will lose out the position to Morgan McCall, who's getting a little bit more elbows out to try and reclaim a few positions that were lost. Now he's got to catch up to Jude Neville. Jude's getting informed from Bauer behind him, saying, listen, Morgan's on the charge. He will look for the inside line. That's where he's a bit more comfortable at this point. You've got to be well aware of it. SESA's watching in his rearview mirrors. He's in the Porsche just ahead of them. And Fleming Bauer getting a drive-through penalty due to track limits. So Bauer getting a track penalty for track limits exceeded. That is going to impact his race. 16 minutes to go. This is the last thing you want to have on your mind, is now having to just get in the box, get yourself sorted, and get going once again. So anytime the wooden spoon comes out for any of the drivers due to track limits, there's no one else to blame but yourself, because you get 3 warnings. First warning, second warning, third warning, and then the drive-throughs start coming in. So you have got it wrong 3 times before it happens. Jude Neville getting a bit sideways. That lost out a bit of drive. Morgan McCall immediately onto the back of him. Will be looking up on the inside, trying to go late on the brakes. Jude going to defend. Couldn't lock down that inside line. Goes out wide, and that allows Morgan McCall to come by. So yes, you get 3 warnings before you get caught on the hands, as So a good friend of mine, Glenn Rowden, used to say, if you cause trouble, you're going to report to the steward's office, and you're going to get a knock on the willy with a wet shoelace. And that's essentially what a drive-through penalty is, to put it rather bluntly, for anyone out there. As it does look like Harry Duplessis pulling into the pits. He's getting his pit stop done and dusted, and fellow teammate as well, closing in behind, doing his pit stop. So a couple of drivers just getting themselves sorted. Christopher Radloff out in first place. Second place is Daniel Rowe. Bernard Barkhuizen in third, as it stands, big gap between them, roughly about 2 seconds. Then you've got Ryan Ottens, Bago Krobler, Grant Sebastian coming across the line. Ulrich Sichers, he's trying to get past Jean-Ray Buerta. Jean-Ray Buerta is a blue flag at the moment. Sichers is going after Grant Sebastian ahead of him, so he's going to have to look up on the inside, get past Buerta as quick as possible, and go after the Mercedes that's screaming ahead at the moment. Jamie Rees, though, trying to get up on the inside. Fleming Bauer does so. Bauer just going and backing out, not wanting to get too involved in the fight there. They know they're racing in two different parts of this race. A long way to go. 12 drivers needing to pit for their final pit stops, and we asked about who's going to be able to take those late pit stops. How much have they got left in the tank? How much life is left in the tires? Quite a few of them, like Christopher Radloff, Daniel Rowe, Bernard Barkhuizen, Ryan Ottens, Bago Krobler, Grant Sebastian, Ulrich Sichers, Jamie Rees, Sanjan Pillay have all taken a new fresh set of tires earlier on for their first pit stop, and hoping that that's going to claw their way through at the moment. And then you got Aiden Russell, who's done... He's only done a splash and dash, no change of tires. Andres Radio has lost out as well. That's how it's going to go. So, Morne Pelser going and saying, does Aiden Russell, who we see currently on screen, does he have to pit again, or can he finish the race? No, he will have to pit again. So he's done 2 pit stops already, but due to misalignment, he wasn't in his pit box correctly. So it didn't count as a pit stop. Will have to do a pit again. Otherwise, if he finishes the race with 1 pit stop mandatory to go, he has not completed that pit stop, he will suffer a severe penalty, which can go up to about 180 seconds, which will throw him all the way down into 22nd position. So he's got to bear that in mind. It's not a nice one to have. They say a spoonful of sugar makes a medicine go down. Well, sometimes the medicine's a little bit rough, but we do take it as you got to take it as a learning curve. It doesn't matter how pro you are, how fast you are, how much you've practiced. Little things like this do test you as a driver of moving forward. So Aiden Russell's going to have to bear that in mind to realign himself in the box correctly, get 1 liter of fuel, and then get out racing. He needs a 33-second spacing between it. Now, pit window is open for 10 minutes and 50 seconds. So he has to do it within the 10 minutes and 50 seconds as it stands to be able to do it. If he pits out of those 10 minutes and the pit window closes, you are then suffering a penalty because you did not serve your mandatory pit stop. So yes, a little bit of a thinking game, a little bit of a team game, and a little bit of breathe needed. Jan van der Merwe going side by side with Jean-Ray Buerta. The 2 Porsches are going to battle it out into turn 1, and Buerta going out wide will have a terrible exit, runs over the marbles. Van der Merwe saying thank you very much, the ZRC High Flyers, now trying to gain a little bit more challenge. So it's going to be a proper run. It's going to be a very interesting race for guys to try and figure out their strategies as it stands. Lots of things can happen, lots of thought processes. Now, taking a look at the history of the drivers that we got from 1st to 11th, because we see Andres Radio has pulled into the box to complete his pit stop. We will see the drivers towards the last minute and a half pull into the pits. And that is while the pit window is open. So they will put in roughly 8 minutes on the pit window, I would think, based on history. Don't quote me, because I can be really wrong in terms of this. They will have to put 1 liter of fuel in the tank, so they've got to bear that in mind. Now, they have taken a new set of tires from 1st to 9th position. I have taken a fresh set of tires. They will have to bear that in mind, as they've now taken away their opportunity to put a new fresh set of tires on. They will have to do a splash and dash, where others, bear in mind, have done the other way around. They've gone for a splash and dash in the early parts of the race and changed tires towards the end, like Kewin Duplessis. And Kewin has done that splash and dash, taken a new set of tires. He's lying in 12th position and with an opportunity to get into the top 10, looking at towards 7th and 6th place as it stands. So he has a real opportunity to score some very valuable points for round number 1 of the Raceface GT3 Series Season 16. And ladies and gentlemen, if you are really loving the action out here, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit that bell notification icon, leave a like as well. Christmas wishes to hit that 1,000 subscriber mark. And also, if you're interested in racing, go and join up at Raceface.Pro. We do have our pros, which we're seeing out on circuit. We do have our pro-ams and our ams. There is a very elite class where I fit because I'm so uber-duper fast. My grading time, I got to grade with the pros, and I've got to say, I was so fast I wasn't even on the timing sheets. That's why I'm in my own class in the box currently. They just already gave me the first place trophy and said, there you go, bud. Well done. You won the whole thing. It's a good thing I can talk a lot. But as it stands, St. Pillay is dealing with Aiden Russell at the moment. Aiden Russell not in the same race as him at the moment. Aiden Russell trying to run a little bit further down. So, what may be going through the mind of a couple of these drivers? 8 minutes. That's when you need to get in. 6 minutes, and then you got to get in that box. In 6 minutes, you need to get in the box. At the moment, you got enough spacing for Kewin Duplessis, who's lying in 12th position. He is 2.7 seconds behind Fafiers. So he will overtake Fafiers. He will overtake Aiden Russell. He will get past the likes of St. Pillay. As we see Aiden Russell, he's pulling into the pits to serving his mandatory pit stop. So he's going to have to get in that box perfectly. There's a square. Go for it. Don't go too fast. Get yourself in. 40 k's an hour is frustrating, but also make sure that you get out the pit successfully. What I tend to do is hang in first gear right the way through until the pit wall disappears behind me and I can see it in the rearview mirror. Then I engage second gear, which will automatically turn off a pit limiter and get going. Any time before then will land up with a stop-go 30-second penalty. Andres Aradio, though, scoring a drive-through penalty due to track limits exceeded. And that will take him out of the running and allow Aiden Russell, who comes out, he's trying to get himself going, will be keeping an eye as Morgan McCall comes in through turn 1. So Aiden Russell managing to hold 14th position away from Morgan McCall, who served a stop-go 30-second penalty a little bit early on in the race. SES Ace, Jude Neville, they are fighting it out for position as it stands at the moment. Looks up on the inside. Jude not able to go for it just as yet, but Essie going and defending like no tomorrow. The major really going and putting up a massive, massive front at the moment and spreading his wings. I would say that would be more real than not. But SESA is not a pilot, but is part of the Air Force. He's a major. Is now being a major thorn in the side for Jude Neville, who's doing everything he can to get past. Now he's getting a little bit of flashing lights, and I think that's Bago Krobler that is going to be trying to get his way through. Yes, it is Bago Krobler. He's running in 5th position, launches his way up on the inside, gets past, and Jude Neville saying, there we go, buddy. Now it's time for you to get going so I can get past Essie. I'm going to utilize the slipstream and pull myself along. Kerry Duplessis, he gets back out on circuit after having a little bit of an off-track excursion by the looks of it. So he's trying to get a little bit more pace. 5 minutes and 47 seconds to go in this race. And we're starting to see more and more changes happening. Unrik Sikkers, Grant Sebastian, they are fighting it out for position. Grant Sebastian and Unrik Sikkers both needing to do one more pit stop with 4 minutes and 33 seconds to go. Having the advantage of being ahead will be needed. And take a look. Sickers going and baiting Grant Sebastian, leading into the pit lane. Grant Sebastian thought about it, started moving his way into pit lane, but second guessed the choice in that and landed up going and missing it out. So he's going to be losing out a bit of time there. So Grant Sebastian will be falling down the order. Heinrich Seckers pulled into the pits. Jamie Rees has pulled into the pits. Sanjan Pillay, is he going to pull in the pits? Yes, it is. With 3 minutes and 55 seconds, he gets himself into the box. Will Fafirs go? No, Fafirs is going to keep going. He's going to keep the drive. Q and Duplessis is going to start moving up, but Fafirs running it down to the wire. They do the circuit in 1 minute 32 seconds around here at Valencia. So they have got a lap, maybe two, to get into the box before pit lane closes. So this is running it rather close to the wire. Sanjan Pillay comes into the box, so he's waiting to get going. Will be trying to get ahead of Aiden Russell, who's going to be coming across the line. Aiden Russell recovering after having to do a mandatory pit stop. Fafirs getting a drive-through penalty. This is detrimental to his race, because he still needs to do a mandatory pit stop. He cannot serve the drive-through penalty, or if he serves a drive-through penalty, he will not be able to do his pit stop. This has completely thrown Fafirs out of the top 10 due to track limits right at the end. The frustration, the abuse that must be going on to that brake pedal. If he had a clutch, it would be certainly getting it, and best hope it's made out of metal, because if it's made out of plastic, it's game over. The drivers will have to try and figure this one out, but Fafirs will be highly annoyed at the situation. Q and Duplessis, though, moves up into 7th position. He's happy with that. Grant Sebastian pulls into the box, now trying to get himself out before Q and Duplessis comes across the line. Fafirs pulling himself into the pits. 2 minutes and 16 seconds to go. Drive-through penalty. It's either going to be a box and take the drive-through penalty, or, oh man, he can't serve, he can't do the pit. This has taken him right out of it. This has ended his race in tears. And just that fraction of a push, Aiden Russell goes out wide. Morgan McCall gets on the inside, gets past. Aiden Russell giving a quick flash of the light saying, go, buddy, go. You're going to have to keep up the charge here, because we are now in a monstrous fight. Christopher Adloff in the box right towards the end. Daniel Rowe in the box. Bernard Barkhuizen in the box. Ryan Ottens now in the box. Bego Krobler is pulling into the pits as well, so he's going to be getting himself sorted out. Q and Duplessis, who's a little bit far back, may have an opportunity to get himself into the top 5. It's going to be a hard push, though. I think he's a little bit far back at the moment. Yep, he's a bit too far back, and I think Bego Krobler, Ryan Ottens, Bernard Barkhuizen, and Daniel Rowe have done enough to get past. Bernard Barkhuizen, though, going to try to go around the outside of Daniel Rowe. Going to go late on the brakes between the two. They are fighting it currently for 3rd place. This is going to be a monstrous, monstrous game. Daniel Rowe doing everything he can. Bernard Barkhuizen looks up on the inside. Couldn't get it all together. Christopher Adloff starting to open up the gap. Ryan Ottens doing what he can to get a little bit more drive, seeing the battle up ahead, as Bernard Barkhuizen is going to get a little bit more of a push. After this, they have got 1 lap to go. So bear in mind, next time they cross the line, there will be 1 lap left. A 1-lap shootout. And our 2nd and 3rd place is separated by 0.3 of a second. Late on the brakes. Bernard trying to go and push as hard as he can. Both have done a splash and dash. Daniel Rowe just going in, asking the Porsche for as much mechanical grip at the moment as they power their way through. This is gonna be a monstrous effort. Everyone has done their pit stop. Fafirs is in the pits. He managed to get back into the box. Pit lane has just closed. So Fafirs has just by the skin of his teeth gone and got it right. Daniel Rowe goes out wide. Bernard Barkhuizen tries to close up onto him. Now they are running each other down to the wire. Leaders on the final lap. Daniel Rowe is going to walk Bernard Barkhuizen out into the grass. Both of them coming into contact. Repeated contact. Late onto the brakes. Dives up on the inside. Daniel Rowe gets a little bit far out. Bernard Barkhuizen trying to come back at him. Does have to lift off. And that allows Daniel Rowe to come back. The two of them teeing off against one another on the last lap. Couple of corners to go. And well done to Fafirs. You went and beat my expectation there. And I think going and wiping the sweat off the brow for getting that final pit stop done and dusted, plus serving a penalty. But second place, Daniel Rowe and Bernard Barkhuizen in third, clawing their way through, trying to get a little bit more of a drive. Christopher Radloff, though, he's breaking away 7.4 seconds ahead of everyone, will be on his charge and on his way to a podium. It went and missed out on him last night, and he will be trying to get it all together tonight for the Raceface GT3 Series Season 16 as he makes his way through. Daniel Rowe opening up distance to Bernard Barkhuizen, so I think Bernard's going to be concentrating on just keeping it all in order. One corner to go, and coming up to the line, and might I say, the Bentley has finally returned to the podium. Christopher Radloff taking the Bentley to first place. Daniel Rowe taking second place. Bernard Barkhuizen finishing out in third place. Ryan Ottens finishing out in fourth place. Bego Hrobler coming across. He will be finishing out in fifth position. Bearing in mind, he keeps it all clean. Yep, I think with one corner to go. Can't get it wrong here. Kieran Duplessis, phenomenal driving, will be in sixth place, along with Grant Sebastian, who is pushing as hard as he can. I think he's a little bit too far back to go for it, but Grant Sebastian will be taking home seventh place. Andrik Sikkers taking eighth. Mahayath Musa has been clawing his way through. He finishes up in ninth place. Jamie Rees finishing up in 10th. AJ de Kock in 11th position, followed by Morgan McCall. Aiden Russell has defied his odds of running one drive-through penalties and 3 pit stops. Morgan McCall getting ahead of him with a 30-second stop-go penalty and both his pit stop done and dusted. So it hasn't been an easy run for them. Jamie Rees also did a drive-through penalty and 2 pit stops, so he also had a very difficult race. And 14th position going to Tinas Burta, along with SES in 15th position, with Jude Neville going to try and push him down to the wire. One corner to go. That big Mercedes lumbering in, tried going for the inside line, a little bit too far back, and will be going and saying well done to SE as they come across the line. Eric Kirstein, Harry Duplessis, Fafirs, Andre Terradio, Johan van der Merwe, Jean-Ray Buerta, Fleming Bauer, Charles Darden, Issam Domingo, Vessel Wooder, and Sanjan Pillay will be coming across the line, taking the likes of 27th position, the Kluberson, Werner Schumann, and Rian van der Rust going and coming across the line. But, ladies and gentlemen, what a race that was here at Valencia for round 1. And what a phenomenal effort on all our drivers for all the hard work that they've done. A couple of interesting moments in terms of drive-through penalties getting cleared right at the last, pit stops getting cleared at the last. Some amazing passes that happened throughout the race, and I've got to say, well done to all the drivers in doing so. Rian van der Rust actually hopping off his tractor to come in and race, scoring some valuable points for his championship, so he's going to be rather happy with that. Wow. Some early on contacts that we saw, a couple of drivers coming to blows with one another. Ultimately, though, it came down to everyone pushing right the way till the end here at Raceface for the likes of the GT3 Championship Season 16. As we take a look at the highlights and we'll try and get our breath back. See Sanjan Pillay right at the last, he had a power outage, so Sanjan Pillay couldn't cross the line. We did see you out on the circuit. We weren't 100% sure because you were further up, but a power outage taking you out of the race is a definite blow. But you did finish in the results, so that is points that you're taking home. And well, even 1 point is just enough to get into the World Cup finals. So take it like that, Sanjan. You've done a brilliant job. Then we have got Shantae Les Orton saying, it feels like I'm watching rugby with the amount of time for the drivers to do their last pit stop and the battles that were going on was monstrous. Mornay Pulsar also going and saying Eden would have won the race if it wasn't for the pit stop penalty that came in. Well, it wasn't actually a penalty that was put on. It was Aiden Russell didn't get in the box correctly. And there's actually a red square that you have to be in. If you're slightly off and it puts you up on the jacks, moves you across and puts you back down, then picks you back up. Unfortunately, that's when you don't get counted as pit stop because they physically had to move you back into the box. So take it as a little bit of a learning curve. A bit of frustration does creep in, but the drivers all doing a fantastic job out there. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you so much for joining us for round 1 of the Raceface GT3 series, season 16. It's been absolutely tremendous stuff. Well done to all our drivers, our teams, and also to all the pit bosses that are working in the background. Especially a big thank you to all the families that allow the drivers to have a bit of fun. That is going to be a proper run. So a big thank you to all the families that put up with all the clicking that goes on, especially with the new steering wheels running magnetics. It does drive everyone insane. And well done. Thank you very much. But also to you guys, the spectators, thank you for joining in on the grandstands and out in the chat. Good to have you guys here. Just really incredible to have you guys around. It's always fantastic. Big thank you to all our Raceface volunteers, our admin, our media, and our stewards that are working frantically behind the scene. Lots and lots of new things happening, so keep an eye out on social media at Raceface.Pro, out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and also head over to our Discord to join in the conversations, not only about sim racing, but also in the real world. It's absolutely amazing to see what people do. We've also got a couple of guys that do knitting. Far as I'm aware, we've got a chap called Conrad Martin, also known as Matchstick Martin, that, did you know, is an avid gym bunny. He's super fit, big into gymming, putting some muscle on the legs and arms, and is able to go and take a 30 Newton meter steering wheel and turn it without any issues whatsoever. So there's a lot of interesting gym bunnies. We've got people doing knitting as well. So how's that? More you know, but more you get to interact with the drivers as well. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, for the amazing evening, and we'll look forward to you next week. We have got the Raceface.Pro TCRs that are racing on Tuesday. We do have Wednesday. We will have our GT3 Sprint Series going and restarting for round 2. Thursday, we will have our GT3 Season 16 round 2 as we head over to Paul Ricard, so keep an eye out on that as well. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you next time right here at Raceface.Pro. Hit the subscribe, hit the like, hit the bell notification icon, leave us a like and drop us a comment as well what your favorite part of the race was this evening. And like always, I'd like to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everybody.